We often hear that licking and chewing means a horse understands or is thinking over what we have just taught them, or that licking and chewing means the horse is submitting to the human. We may have heard these things a million times from a million different people, but these meanings of licking and chewing are as far from the truth as your favorite fairy tale, folks. There is a severe lack of scientific understanding of horse behavior in the equine community. My name is Kourtney Hardy, founder of Nirvana Mustang Sanctuary and Kind Horse Training, and I am here to share the science behind various equine behaviors and shed light on some very important topics that will make understanding, connecting with, and training your horses much easier. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on this truly life-changing information. Now, back to the infamous lick and chew. What does it really mean? To understand, first we need to look at the nervous system of the horse and its critical role in the most important thing to a horse, their safety. The autonomic nervous system is responsible for unconscious behaviors. These are behaviors that require no conscious effort. The body just carries out these functions without awareness. There are two states that make up the autonomic nervous system. One is the parasympathetic state and the other is a sympathetic state. The parasympathetic state is also known as the rest and digest state, when all bodily functions are functioning normally. This state is expressed when the environment is calm and normal to the horse. An example of this state is when horses are out on the field, grazing peacefully with their heads down and tails slowly swishing away flies. On the contrary, when the horse feels stressed, the sympathetic nervous system state kicks on. This is when we see fight, flight, or freeze responses from the horse, such as bucking, bolting, or as the name indicates, freezing with no motion of the limbs, body, or ears, and wide, unblinking eyes. The sympathetic state is expressed in a horse when the horse's autonomic nervous system feels as though it is in danger. Whether that danger is physically real or just a perceived threat, the nervous system reacts as if it is a very real threat and begins to prepare the body for the flight or fight responses. Hang in there. We are getting to the lick and chew. When the body is unconsciously preparing to enter the fight or flight state, it draws all the blood away from the extremities, so the muzzle, tail, legs, etc., and pulls all the blood into the internal organs in order to make the body more efficient for the horse's escape or fight. Okay? Now, freeze is a special response, one that a horse will typically only go into if they have learned that fleeing or fighting is useless. We see this response often in traditional desensitizing. The human touts that the horse has learned to be unaffected by the evil, scary plastic bag or whatever else the human is generally waving around, but in reality, the horse's nervous system has entered a state of complete shutdown, activating the vagus nerve, which prevents any movement. This is the same response that a gazelle has when they know their fight or run is over and they give up on trying to live as a lion begins to consume their still alive body. Consider that the next time you desensitize your horse. Instead, we should focus on building our horse's confidence around things they find scary, not sending their body into absolute shock where they believe they are about to die, but that is a whole other long conversation for another time. Anyways, back to the licking and chewing. Since the body has pulled all the blood into the internal organs to prepare to fight or to flee, there is a lack of blood flow to the horse's mouth, and there is no longer saliva being produced as the body prioritizes these other functions in order to remove the horse away from the situation with the real or perceived threat in the most effective manner. Licking and chewing happens as the horse exits the sympathetic fight or flight state and shifts back into the parasympathetic rest and digest state. The licking and chewing happens as a result of the blood returning to the horse's mouth and saliva beginning to be produced as the body resumes digestion, which is also shut off by the autonomic nervous system when the horse is getting ready to fight or flee. Now, to run more effectively, the sympathetic nervous system also automatically clamps the horse's lips shut, creating an airproof seal that allows them to intake the maximum amount of oxygen through their nostrils more effectively fueling their muscles, which are needed to outrun all their threats or perceived threats that may be around them. So the mouth is allowed to open, and blood and saliva returning to the mouth facilitates the horse to do all of this licking and chewing. So the real meaning of licking and chewing is that your horse has just experienced some amount of stress that their autonomic nervous system recognized as a threat that the horse may need to fight or run from. With this understanding, it is easy to see how believing the lick and chew is a sign of thinking, submission, or understanding is severely off course from the reality of the situation the horse is experiencing. The lick and chew is also accurately considered a release, and it is a sign that the horse is letting go of whatever stimulus was stressing them to the point of needing to fight or flee in the first place and returning to a calm state. When this happens, the body also releases a bunch of dopamine, which is a natural feel-good chemical produced by the brain. It is essentially saying, "Good job, you survived." This dopamine release associated with licking and chewing can be associated with the actions of the human, helping the horse calm back down, and essentially then acts as an intrinsic reward that is then associated with the human, helping the horse feel safer in our presence and trust us more. Super cool, right? Now, if you notice, I have continually said throughout this video, threat or perceived threat, because it is so important if you are around horses to understand that there doesn't have to be a real life lion trying to eat your horse for their sympathetic nervous system state to be activated. Oftentimes, even quote-unquote top-notch trainers don't realize that the horse perceives even something as simple as a saddle as a threat and will go into the fight or flight state. In fact, anytime you see a horse bucking, bolting, rearing, freaking out, sitting back, lunging in circles, breathing super fast with their head high in the air, they are expressing the sympathetic nervous system state. Their autonomic nervous system, which automatically controls their behavior without their conscious consent, believes they are in real danger and reacts as such. With this knowledge, you can see how ignorant it is to then call these reactions bad behavior, as if the horse is consciously choosing to disobey their handler. Nothing about these behaviors is consciously decided by the horse. It is our job as horse people to understand this, to work with our horses to ensure that anytime we are working with them, that we take the time to introduce new things or new behaviors in a way that allows the horse to stay in the parasympathetic rest and digest state where the horse is able to use their brain and learn. When a horse is in the sympathetic state, they do not learn effectively at all because all of the brain is hijacked to focus on their immediate survival. That is its function. That's its job. Now, I leave you with this question. Could you learn how to do a complex algebraic equation with a lion chasing you? No, you could not. So, when you see your horse licking and chewing, let's look back and ask ourselves, what happened just before? What signs of tension did we notice as we were doing X, Y, or Z with this horse today? Then we need to realize that the horse felt stress about that action and take the time and care to address that specific fear in order to make our horse feel truly safe and willing to participate with us. Thanks so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts on this or any questions that you may think of, and drop those all in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to learn more crucial information about your horse.